لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up in the minbar, the place where khutbah al-Jum'ah is given, and without any introduction he said the word Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. Later on, the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to understand what has happened. Why did he confirm 3 times something that no one has heard? He said, Jibreel came to me, sent by Allah Almighty, and he said, whosoever does not take the opportunity during Ramadan to seek Allah forgiveness, to seek Allah for forgiveness, therefore that person is asking to be expelled from the mercy of Allah. I repeat again, whosoever does not take the opportunity in Ramadan to seek the forgiveness of Allah, therefore that person is intentionally asking to be expelled from the mercy of Allah. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, in the first night of the month of Ramadan, all the devils are chained, and the doors of hellfire are all closed, and the doors of heaven are all open. And a caller would call and say, who among you is doing good? Please come forward and do so. And whosoever wants to do evil, abstain and stay where you are. And that is every night in the month of Ramadan. End of the hadith. Look at it this way. Here you have Allah Almighty opening all the doors of heaven during the month of Ramadan. And Allah Almighty is closing all the footpaths to hellfire and the doors to hellfire. Not only that, but Allah Almighty has chained the sources of evil throughout the month of Ramadan. So your only direction is towards heaven. And yet, look at yourself. Allah Almighty is telling you, come forward, I have everything ready for you, and no obstacles and nothing will prevent you from being a pious person. And look at your treatment towards Allah Almighty. Do you know that Ramadan consists of 720 hours? Ramadan is 720 hours. If you sleep 8 hours on daily basis, therefore you remove it from the 720 hours, which I myself do not recommend. Therefore what is left for you in the month of Ramadan is 480 hours. 480 hours purely left for you to be a person who belongs to paradise. No obstacles. Nothing will prevent you. The doors of hellfire are closed, as the hadith said. And the devil is chained. Any source of evil is chained. Your only way is towards Allah, is towards heaven. Nothing whatsoever. Malik ibn Dinar used to sit and remember, and his followers and his students sit next to him, and he used to cry, and they cry with him. He used to say, put some patience in obeying Allah. It requires a little bit of patience, yet the reward is enormous. He said things will move fast, and life would move fast. It's faster than you think. Sayyar ibn Abdul Wahhab ibn Zayd, another scholar and a worshipper, he said, whoever's will and intention to have some persistence and patience to obey Allah, Allah surely will give him the power to do so, and will give him the energy to obey him and to be someone who is pious and follows the command of Allah. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, 3 types of people, their prayers are direct and will never be rejected. Their prayers are answered immediately. One of them is a fasting person. The second one is a person who is oppressed. The third one is a person who is traveling. You are fasting. Your prayers are accepted. Why not ask? Allah in the Quran has said in Surah Al-Baqarah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Fasting is prescribed to you as it was prescribed to nations before you. Perhaps you would become pious. Allah knows us, and Allah knows what is good for us. It's a golden opportunity. Imam Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali mentions a factor. He said, the month of Sha'ban is the training ground for the month of Ramadan. Fasting in the month of Sha'ban is a training for the month of Ramadan. As you fast in the month of Sha'ban, whether it's a few days, but making sure the last few days or the last day of Sha'ban you don't fast, to separate between them. As you fast and experience fasting in the month of Sha'ban, it will help you get the endurance and the taste and the sweet taste of fasting. Therefore the person would be trained to fast, and therefore his entry into the month of Ramadan is with energy and stamina and strength. The month of Sha'ban is the training period for the month of Ramadan. Our forefathers and ancestors from the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, Salam ibn Kuhail said, we call the month of Sha'ban the month of readers. Everybody in the community is out with his Quran and reading Quran in the month of Sha'ban, and fasting a few days if they could, whenever it's possible, to experience Ramadan. Amr ibn Qais used to have a shop. Whenever the month of Sha'ban comes in, he closes the shop and he focuses on reading Quran. Abu Bakr al-Balkhi said an amazing description. He said the month of Rajab is the month of sowing the seeds. The month of Sha'ban is the month of watering the seeds. The month of Ramadan is the month of harvest. This means the planning of Ramadan is not the first day of Ramadan. The planning of Ramadan is from the month of Rajab. People set their intentions, set their plans, set their focus, set their vision, set their goals and aspirations for the month of Ramadan. So throughout these 3 months, people are prepared mentally, physically, spiritually. So their entry level on the first day of Ramadan is with power and energy and force beyond what we see nowadays, which is only a calendar day and you're not eating. That's what makes the difference, and that's what makes the change, and that's what makes people more productive and high performance than others. And then he continued to say, The month of Rajab is like the wind. The month of Sha'ban is like the clouds. The month of Ramadan is like the rain. Whosoever does not sow the seeds in Rajab and does not water them in Sha'ban, how does he expect to harvest in Ramadan? When you read this statement, it comes like a lightning on your head. You discover it's too late. Others have decided already from the month of Rajab what their plans and aspiration in order to maximize all what they want in Ramadan. That's why they become different people after Ramadan, pious and following the command of Allah Almighty. And this is what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions and their teachings in that month. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us, and narrated by Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anh, whenever the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in the month of Rajab comes in, he would say, "Oh Allah, bless us in Rajab and Sha'ban. Oh Allah, make us the ability to live the month of Ramadan." So from now on, it's a teaching for you from this moment and this second until the day of Ramadan. You have to ask Allah Almighty to give you the lifespan to live till the month of Ramadan. Nothing is guaranteed. That source of energy, that source of intention makes you different than any person who seeks the month of Ramadan. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان يوم الدين. The plan. This is the practical part what we're talking about. Now we all know how much it is important. Now what are the levels of success? I'm going to tell you about 10 points or 12 points. This is the plan that you and I are going to practice. Practical application. And after the khutbah, I will read it to you, to those of you who want to take notes of these points. So just listen carefully and understand how to utilize this Ramadan different than any other Ramadan before. First of all, assign 2 hours, continuous 2 hours without any disturbance, to write down your personal plan for Ramadan. Go to the masjid, go anywhere. You don't want any interruption for 2 hours. Pencil and paper ready, and write down what you want to achieve and what is your personal plan in the month of Ramadan. 2, write it now, these days, because as the days come by, you will be doing some adjustments before the month of Ramadan starts. 3, set 5 issues that you want to change and you need the help of Allah to change in the month of Ramadan. 5 aspects that you see in yourself, you want them to be changed. 5 issues that you have, critical matters, write them down, that you want them to be solved in Ramadan, that you're going to focus with the help of Allah in changing them in Ramadan. Written goals, when you have them written, this means you will achieve them rather than have them in your mind when you have them written in a piece of paper. 6, set aside how many hours you are going to sleep in the month of Ramadan and how many hours of entertainment in the month of Ramadan. Your basic enemies in Ramadan are 2, sleeping and entertainment. Entertainment, I mean television, internet, mobile device and so forth. These are your greatest enemies. So therefore, in your plan, you have to set aside how many hours are allocated for sleeping and entertainment. 7, supplication, dua, prayers. Your supplication should not be open-ended, vague, whatever comes in your mind, you say it. You have to plan it. Your dua, you have to plan it, you have to design it. It is based on principles. 1, for yourself. 2, for your family. 3, for your loved ones. 4, for the Muslim Ummah. During these days, open as many books of dua and write them down. Concentrated exactly of what you want. And focus on this dua throughout the 30 days of Ramadan. Allah loves a worshipper who keeps on insisting and repeating the same dua again and again and again and again, as if he is knocking on the doors of Allah. He wants things to move. So don't let your dua be vague and your mind wanders as you ask Allah for the prayers. Write it down in these 4 aspects. Yourself, your family, your loved ones are for the Muslim nation. 9. Set aside a special thing that you want in the dua, that you insist upon, that you want Allah to change it in yourself. 10. State how much money you're going to donate and to what and when you're going to donate it in the month of Ramadan. 11. The Quran. Set how much of the Quran you want to memorize exactly. 2. Set aside how much you're going to read from the Quran. What is your target of how much of Quran you'll be reading? 3. Set how much of the Quran you will be reading as tafsir, as a study. There has to be an allocation. You choose a certain surah or something throughout, or surahs or certain parts of the Quran, you will read them as tafsir. Not only the meanings of the words, but the circumstances that are beyond these surahs. 12. Set aside the time that you daily read the Quran with no interruptions. Don't sit in a place reading Quran where your children are running around the television set or somebody is in the kitchen and so forth. If you can go to a place where no one can disturb you as you focus into reading the Quran, go to that place. Make sure as you read Quran there are no interruptions, including your cell phone. The last point, set a plan for the last 10 nights of Ramadan, Al-Ashr Al-Awakhir. I ask Allah Almighty, in what I have said, it will be held for us and not against us. And I ask Allah Almighty that I myself in the beginning and you, we take things serious matters in this Ramadan. And I ask Allah Almighty that we all will change after the month of Ramadan. And I ask Allah Almighty will give us the lifespan to live at least this Ramadan. People among us, we were alive last year, Ramadan. This year they are not. People among us who were healthy last year, this year they are not. These among us people who were physically able last year, this year they are not. Look at yourself. You have all these 3 aspects Allah had given to you. This is a blessing from Allah that requires thanking Allah day and night that you are physically able to perform this coming Ramadan. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع مجيب الدعوات اللهم بلغنا رمضان